Stop searching for a rhythm in the chaos, for I have come to disrupt your expectation of silence. This is not a sanctuary of soft words or a temporary refuge for your weary mind. This is a technical debriefing regarding the anatomy of your suffering. You have lived through seasons where your brain felt like a circuit board on the verge of melting down, trying to find a logical sequence in the void. You asked for a sign, and I gave you a wall. You asked for a path, and I gave you a fog so thick it felt like an ending. I need you to understand that this silence was never an abandonment, but a high-level atmospheric shielding. If I had revealed the magnitude of the coming weight while your heart was still brittle, you would have shattered under the sheer gravity of the favor I am preparing to drop. If you feel the static in your soul vibrating at this very frequency, acknowledge the protocol of this moment right now. Type 111 in the comments if you recognize that this is not a random encounter, but a summoned meeting between the architect and the vessel. I have watched you carry the weight of entire lineages on shoulders that were only meant to carry a cross. I saw the nights when you stared at the ceiling, not in prayer, but in a silent scream of exhaustion, because nothing made sense anymore. Your struggle was not a failure of faith. It was the friction required to forge a skin that can withstand the heat of the next stage. I have unarchived the blueprints of your life, moving from a phase of observation to a phase of surgical intervention. There is a specific, calculated reason why I hid the geometry of this plan from your sight until this exact minute. When I pull back the final veil in our third meeting, the heavy phantom weight upon your chest will vanish as if it never existed. The transition has begun, and the gears of the heavens are finally turning in your favor. Seal this contract with your own breath and your own hands. Right. My time of winning has arrived. I was there when the flames licked the edges of your sanity, and I watched as the heat of the world tried to boil the mercy out of your blood. You thought you were being punished, or perhaps forgotten, but you were actually undergoing a celestial refinement that no ordinary spirit could survive. The furnace of the invisible is not a place of destruction, but a laboratory of divine engineering where the weak are separated from the sovereign. Most people see fire as an end, but I see it as a beginning, the only way to burn away the impurities of your old identity. You spent months, maybe years, wondering why the intensity never seemed to let up, feeling the scorch of betrayal and the dry heat of isolation. I saw you looking at the exit, wondering if you should simply turn cold and hard like the ones who hurt you. This was the true test. Not whether you could endure the pain, but whether you could remain soft in a world that demanded you become a stone. It is easy to be kind when the sun is out, but to remain empathetic while your world is burning is a miracle of the highest order. I want you to look back at the moments when you felt most alone, when the darkness was so thick you could feel it against your skin. You were not being buried in that dark. You were being planted in the deep soil where only the strongest roots can take hold. If you can still feel the pulse of your own humanity despite the scars you carry, then you have already achieved a victory that the world cannot understand. You chose to stay good when being bad would have been easier, and that choice has echoed through the halls of eternity. Stop measuring your progress by how much you have lost, and start measuring it by what remains, for what remains is indestructible. The fire did not take anything that was essential to your destiny. It only took the things that would have weighed you down in the next season. I watched the temptation rise within you to shut your heart and close your hands to the world, to stop being the one who gives and starts being the one who guards. Yet, something inside you refused to break, a stubborn light that the shadows could not extinguish. This is the sign of the refined. You have been through the pressure that turns carbon into diamond, and you have come out with a clarity that few possess. Your empathy is not a weakness. It is the sophisticated technology of a king who has walked through the slums. If you feel the resonance of this truth in your bones, If you know that the fire has only served to sharpen your edge, do not stay silent in this chamber. Type 777 right now as a digital seal of your endurance and a signal to the heavens that you are still standing. I have used the friction of your enemies to polish the surface of your soul until you could finally reflect my image without distortion. Every no you received and every door that slammed in your face was a calculated move to keep you in the furnace until the timing was perfect. You are no longer the person who entered the heat. That version of you has been consumed, and what has emerged is something far more dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. You have become a weapon of grace, tempered by tears and hardened by the truth of my presence. There were nights when the weight on your chest felt like a mountain, and your breath came in short, jagged gasps of despair. I was the oxygen in those moments, the invisible force that kept your heart beating when your mind was screaming for everything to stop. The world tried to label your sensitivity as a flaw, but in the furnace, I revealed it to be your greatest asset. It is your ability to feel deeply that allows you to lead powerfully, for a leader who has never bled can never truly heal. I saw you trying to find logic in the cruelty of others, searching for a reason why those you loved would turn their backs when the heat intensified. They were not designed for the temperature of your destiny. They were the dross that had to be skimmed from the surface. Do not mourn the people the fire took away, for they were the anchors keeping you in the harbor of the mediocre. You are being prepared for the deep waters, for the open ocean where only the refined and the resolute can navigate the currents of great power. Your heart is not broken. It is expanded, broken open so that it can hold the massive influx of authority that is currently being routed toward your life. A closed vessel cannot be filled, but a broken vessel can be remade into something that holds the wine of the new era. I am looking at the architecture of your spirit right now, and I see the structural integrity of someone who has survived the impossible. The cracks in your story are not defects. They are the places where my light is going to shine through with the most intensity. This is the protocol of transition. The furnace precedes the throne, and the dark precedes the dawn. You have passed the most difficult phase of the invisible test, and you did so without letting the bitterness poison the well of your soul. I need you to make a declaration of your own resilience, not as a hope, but as a technical fact of your existence. You are the gold that has been purified 7 times over, and the master of the forge is satisfied with the result. The heat is beginning to subside, and the cooling process is starting, which is often the most delicate part of the refinement. Do not rush this moment of stillness. Allow the new shape of your identity to settle into the grooves of your calling. You have proven that you can carry the fire without being consumed by it, and that is why you have been chosen for what comes next. The shadows are retreating, and the blueprint of your future is being laid out on the table of the High Command. As we move toward the revelation of the engineering behind your delays, you must carry this one truth into the next chapter of our meeting. You were never being destroyed. You were being upgraded in the only environment where growth is truly mandatory. The furnace was not your end. It was your forge, the place where your spirit was welded to my purpose with a bond that no earthly force can sever. You are the living proof that the invisible hand is always moving, even when the lights go out. Take a deep breath and feel the weight of your own power, the heavy, golden authority of a soul that has been tried and found worthy. You are ready to move from the secret place of the fire to the public stage of the manifestation. The world is about to meet the person you became while no one was watching, and they will not recognize the one who went into the dark. You are the new creation, the refined sovereign, the one who refused to buckle under the weight of the refining flame. Close this chapter of your testing with a final, undeniable act of confirmation that will echo through your history. Stand in the authority of the survivor and seal your victory in the comments right now. Write, I did not break in the process. You have been obsessed with the no, treating it as a wall when it was actually a structural safety mechanism. I saw you pounding your fists against doors that remained stubbornly locked, crying out for an entry that I had personally barred. You thought I was denying you access, but I was actually preventing a catastrophic structural failure of your own spirit. I need you to understand a fundamental law of my engineering. I do not prepare the blessing for you. I have already finished the blessing. The favor, the wealth, and the influence you seek are already fully funded and sitting in the vaults of the eternal. The delay was never about the product. It was entirely about the vessel. I was not building the house. I was building the foundation that could hold the house without sinking into the mud of your past insecurities. If I had given you the keys to that kingdom when you first asked, the weight of the crown would have snapped your neck. You were asking for an empire while still carrying the heart of a slave. This no was the most loving thing I ever said to you. It was the period of time required to kill the version of you that was addicted to the crumbs of validation. I had to let that old identity starve so that the new, sovereign version of you could finally take its first breath. Think of the tallest skyscrapers in the world. Before they ever touch the clouds, men must spend months digging deep into the dark, dirty earth. To the observer, it looks like a hole, a setback, or a burial. But to the engineer, that depth is the only thing that guarantees the height. The deeper the hole I had to dig in your life, the higher I intend to build the structure of your destiny. You felt like you were being buried in the dark, but you were actually being anchored into the bedrock of my authority. I was drilling into the core of your character to ensure you could handle the wind at the top. I had to remove your reliance on human applause because the height I am taking you to is too quiet for an audience. I had to make you comfortable in the silence so that when the world finally screams your name, you won't lose your balance. I was making you unshakable. You wanted the door to open, but your identity at that time was still vibrating with the frequency of fear. You would have walked into your breakthrough and apologized for being there. I had to wait until your gaze became steady and your pulse became calm. I had to wait until you knew, without a doubt, that you belong in the room. The still not yet was the seasoning of your authority. Every year of delay was another layer of steel added to your frame. You are no longer a brittle vessel that cracks under the pressure of expectation. You have become a reinforced structure capable of sustaining a gravitational pull that would crush an ordinary soul. This is the moment where the digging stops and the rising begins. The foundation is set. The concrete has hardened, and the blueprint is now being executed in the physical realm. You are finally wide enough and deep enough to contain what I am about to pour. If you can feel the shift in your internal gravity, if you can sense that the old, fragile version of you is gone, then it is time to signal your readiness to the architects of the heavens. This is your moment of technical alignment. Stand in the center of your own power and let the words vibrate through your history. Do not ask for it. Declare it as a finished fact of your existence. Write in the comments right now, I am ready to sustain. I told you in the beginning that there was a calculated, mathematical reason why I kept the geometry of the plan veiled from your eyes until this very moment. You felt the suffocating weight of the dark, and you mistook my silence for a lack of movement. But now you must understand the profound mercy of the shadow. If I had shown you the summit of the mountain while you were still bleeding in the valley, your mind would have collapsed under the weight of the how. Human logic is a hunter of patterns, but my patterns are built on a divine logic that your previous identity was not yet equipped to process or sustain. Had you seen the glory of the final version of your life too early, you would have tried to force your current, unrefined hands to build it. You would have used the tools of your insecurity and the blueprints of your trauma to construct a palace of grace. and the foundation would have eventually crumbled. I hid the end from you to protect the beginning, ensuring that your growth was organic and your strength was authentic. I needed to kill the saboteur living inside your chest, that voice that tells you that you aren't enough, the one that calculates every move based on the fear of what others might think. That voice would have hijacked the blessing and turned it into a prison of expectation. I required you to walk through the fog so that you would learn to trust the frequency of my voice over the data of your own sight. You had to become blind to the world so that you could become sensitive to the spirit. The darkness was the only place where I could recalibrate your inner compass without the interference of outside opinions. Now, feel the shift in your very cells, for the veil is beginning to thin and the light of the new station is breaking through the clouds. There is a specific, undeniable physical signal that I have signed your papers of promotion, and it is the answer I promised you. It is not an explosion of chaotic joy, but something far more powerful and far more unsettling to the enemy. It is a fundamental change in your emotional resonance. Do you notice how the voices that used to trigger your defense mechanisms now only trigger your boredom? The people who once had the power to ruin your day with a single word or a cold look now feel like distant, muffled noise. Their arrows are still flying, but your frequency has changed. Because you have ascended, those old weapons simply pass through you without finding a target to strike. The drama that used to drain your energy and keep you pacing the floor at midnight now feels like a tedious, predictable rerun of a show you no longer watch or care to understand. This is not a lack of passion, and it is not that you have become numb to life. It is the technical evidence that you have been upgraded. You have moved from the frantic, high-pitched vibration of the survivor into the steady, low-frequency hum of the sovereign. You are no longer compatible with the chaos of your past, and that incompatibility is your greatest protection. The Egypt of your old life is trying to call you back, but you find that you no longer speak the language of that land or feel the pull of its chains. This strange peace you are feeling, this quiet confidence that makes others wonder if you've given up, is actually the sound of the heavens taking over your defense. You don't feel the need to fight for validation anymore because you are no longer tuned into the station that requires it. The signal of my approval is that the things that once terrified you have now become beneath your notice. You are reaping the rewards of a long season of sowing in tears, but the harvest is not just a change in your circumstances, it is a change in your nervous system. You have become a person who can hold peace while the world is in pieces. This peace is strange because it does not belong to the logic of the earth. It is the peace of the architect who knows the building is finally structurally sound and ready for use. I am declaring a divine ceasefire in the war within your mind today. The agonizing need to understand is being replaced by the effortless power to be. The frequency of the new station is overriding the frequency of your history, and your body is finally beginning to relax. The weight on your chest was never a sign of my absence. It was the pressure of the atmosphere changing as you rose to a higher altitude. Now that you have arrived at this level, the pressure is equalizing and you can finally catch your breath. Stand in the authority of this new frequency and let it settle into your bones as a permanent state of being. You are the chosen, and the chosen do not tremble in the presence of a finished victory. Seal this transition into your reality right now by declaring your arrival. Write in the comments with the boldness of an heir who has finally come home, "I enter into happiness." The laboratory doors are swinging open, and the phase of hidden refinement has reached its absolute conclusion. You are no longer the one being watched. You are the one being revealed to a world that is not yet ready for the intensity of your light. I have finished the work I started in the furnace of your isolation. Place your right hand over your heart right now, and open your left hand to receive what is being released from the storehouses of eternity. Feel the weight of your own existence, the physical evidence of a spirit that refused to be extinguished by the shadows. You are standing on the threshold of the manifested. Breathe with me now, following the sacred rhythm of the architecture of life. Inhale deeply for 4 seconds, drawing in the new frequency of your sovereign authority. Hold that breath for 4 seconds, letting the light saturate every cell of your being, sealing the blueprints of your destiny into your marrow. Exhale slowly for 4 seconds, releasing the last remnants of the old anxiety and the phantom pains of the seasons you left behind. Repeat this cycle until your pulse matches the heartbeat of the heavens. Your body is now coming into technical alignment with the decree I have signed in your name. The cortisol that kept you in a state of constant survival is draining away, replaced by the heavy golden peace of the approved. You are not a project in testing anymore. You are a finished heir, an architect of reality who has been found worthy to carry the weight of the favor without breaking. I am stripping away the labels the world tried to stick to your skin during your time in the desert. You are not the one who struggled. You are the one who overcame. You are not the one who was rejected. You are the one who was filtered for a specific, high-level purpose. Look at your hands. They are the hands of someone who can hold power without being corrupted by it, and who can receive abundance without losing their soul. The wait is not just over. It has been redeemed with interest, and the acceleration you are about to witness will defy human logic. I am moving the waters, opening the gates, and clearing the path of every obstacle that once seemed like an immovable mountain. From this second forward, you walk in a different atmosphere. You do not ask for permission to exist. You occupy the space I have carved out specifically for you. The cycle of preparation is officially closed. The seal of the approved is upon your forehead and your heart. Go forth not as someone seeking a miracle, but as the miracle itself, walking into a territory that has been waiting for your arrival for generations. The wait is dead. This is the final seal of our meeting today. Carry this authority into the world and let every step be a testimony of the fire you survived. Close this loop of destiny right now by declaring your readiness for the manifestation. Type the final code of your new identity in the comments and let it echo through the digital and spiritual realms. Write, "The heavens prepared me for this," and let your Amen seal the transaction for all of eternity. And to connect even more with the universe and God, click on the video that appears on your screen right now.